There's lots of different ways of seeing the world, but in my view, only Christianity's 8 core truths are the most helpful and most functional way of existing in the world as it is. Jesus said, "If you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." What is the kind of teaching that leads you to be truly free? I do believe it's these 8 core truths at the heart of Christianity that free you to engage with the world in the most healthy and productive way possible. So let's look at the 8 truths of Christianity. The first one is right at the start of the Bible, and it's a truth that is easily overlooked even by Christians, but is profoundly important. And it's this: God said, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness." That the heart of Christianity is a core belief that human beings are created in the image of God. Theologians call that the Imago Dei. What that means in practice is true Christianity sees every person, no matter what their background, no matter what their belief system, people from every part of the world, people from every religion. Christianity sees every person as uniquely valuable because all people, as Ecclesiastes says, have eternity in their hearts. It's the breath of God in a man, it says in Job, that gives them understanding. So all of us are uniquely valuable. That's a core Christian teaching, and dehumanization is an anti Christian approach to life. David Livington Smith wrote, "Dehumanization isn't a way of talking, it's a way of thinking that sadly comes all too easily to us." Dehumanization is a scourge and has been so for millennia. It acts as a psychological lubricant, dissolving our inhibitions and inflaming our destructive passions. As such, it empowers us to perform acts that would, under other circumstances, be unthinkable. As Christians, we need to acknowledge that, just like every person, it's easy to slip into dehumanization, to see other people as less than human. But whenever we are doing that, we are not acting out of our faith. The first and basic principle of our faith is that all people are created in the image of God. The second principle of our faith is one that secularism just can't come to terms with, but is fundamental to all of our daily experiences of life. And that is, while there is a beautiful part of us created in the image of God, a part that wants to love and be loved, a part that cares about truth, responsibility, and comes alive when it's being creative, that's who we genuinely are. There is this other part, and we all need to be able to acknowledge this. Alexander Solzhenitsyn was a communist who believed that if they could get rid of the rich people, then the problems of the world would be solved. So they got rid of the rich people, and they found the problems of the world weren't solved. He wrote this: "The line separating good and evil passes not through states, nor between classes, nor between political parties either, but right through every human heart and through all human hearts. This line shifts inside us, it oscillates with the years, and even with the hearts overwhelmed by evil, one small bridgehead of good is retained, and even in the best of hearts, there remains an uprooted small corner of evil." And so this is a core Christian understanding that all people are created in the image of God, but also all people are broken and have darkness in them. There is a broken and sad part of every person, a part that, rather than caring about love and truth and creativity and responsibility, is self-interested, a part that just wants to minimize pain and maximize pleasure. And that tension is our lived experience of every day. Most worldviews, apart from Christianity, don't admit to that tension, but all human beings experience that tension every day. Now, we live in the subjective experience of that tension. The third Christian understanding is that reality isn't actually subjective, that there is an ultimate good, and that good is found in the creator of the universe. And because that creator of the universe built the universe, that our universe is founded on moral foundations. As Martin Luther King said, the arc of the universe, the arc of history, bends towards justice. Despite the fact that secularism proposes to believe in no objective good or bad, secularists, or people who don't believe in God, are very quick to point the finger at people they believe to be wrong. The problem they have is they have no objective basis for that belief. Christianity says there is an objective basis for right and wrong, and that objective basis is goodness itself. It's found in the God of the universe. So that's the third thing, the third understanding of Christianity. There is objective good in the world, and it's found in God. The fourth Christian understanding is that Jesus came into the world to demonstrate that goodness. All human beings know in their hearts what a good person looks like. All human beings know that there is goodness in the world. Christianity asserts that there was one perfect person, that it was a model we can look to of absolute goodness, and that goodness is found in Jesus. Christianity asserts that rather than an ideology, God sent a person to show us what a good person looks like and to call us to a wholly different way of life. In the Gospel of John, John introduces his story of Jesus' life by declaring that Jesus was God incarnate. He says, "The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We've seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth." God's nature is grace and truth, and Jesus came to display God's nature to the world. That's the fourth Christian understanding. The fifth Christian understanding is that while Jesus comes and points the way to whole and full life, none of us can measure up. None of us can be Jesus. All of us continue to experience the Alexander Solzhenitsyn dividing line in our hearts. And this is where the beautiful truth of grace is brought into the world through Christianity. Some other religions focus on karma. Karma is getting what you deserve. Grace is the opposite of that. It's getting what you don't deserve. Bono, the lead singer of U2, says, "I'd be in big trouble if karma was going to finally be my judge. I'd be in deep shit. It doesn't excuse my mistakes, but I'm holding out for grace. I'm holding out that Jesus took my sins on the cross because I know who I am, and I hope I don't have to depend on my own religiosity." At the heart of Christianity is this idea that none of us can depend on our own religiosity. Here's another quote from Bono. "I love the idea that God says, 'Look, you cretins, there are certain results to the way we are, to selfishness, and there's a mortality as part of your very sinful nature, And let's face it, you're not living a very good life, are you? There are consequences to actions. The point of the death of Christ is that Christ took on the sins of the world so that what we put out didn't come back to us, and that our sinful nature doesn't reap the obvious death. That's the point. It should keep us humbled. The Christian worldview says that on the cross, Jesus accepted the penalty of our inability to be perfect. He was the answer to the brokenness of humanity, and he died because we kept falling short. That's how grace entered time and space. The sixth Christian understanding, the sixth truth behind Christianity, is that it was Easter Day that we saw a revolution unfold as Jesus rose from the dead, and that changed everything. This is the central truth of Christianity, that Jesus conquered sin and death and rose on the third day, rose on the day we celebrate or commemorate on Easter Sunday. We have the very earliest recorded description of Jesus rising and the importance of that for the Christian church. In the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, many historians date this to within just months of Jesus' resurrection. The Apostle Paul writes, "For what I received, I passed on to you as of first importance." So it's clear here what Paul is saying. I received this from other people, and I'm now passing it on to you. That Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day according to the Scriptures, and that he appeared to Cephas or Peter, and then to the 12. After that, he appeared to more than 500 of the brothers and sisters at the same time, most of whom who are still living. So you can see here, he's saying, these people are still alive. You can go and talk to them if you like. This is why people date this to very early. So it's already a tradition. It's been passed on. And within that tradition, there's a whole lot of people still alive when this is written that saw Jesus after he had died and was resurrected. Paul goes on, and in that same chapter, he says this, and this is the central truth of Christianity. He says, if there is no resurrection of the dead, then not even Christ has been raised. And if Christ hasn't been raised, our preaching is useless, and so is your faith. Our faith hangs on this central belief that Jesus rose from the dead, and as a result, everything's different. The whole world is changed because Jesus rose from the dead. That is the central Christian truth. It's the sixth of the Christian truths we're looking at in this video. There's two more. The seventh Christian truth is this, that you've got a job to do. In the book of Romans, the Apostle Paul writes, if you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Some versions of Christianity would want to focus there and stop there. But Jesus himself didn't. Jesus appeared to the disciples and he said, in the same way God sent me, so I now send you. There is a sense that as followers of Jesus who have been saved, who have believed in his resurrection from the dead, that Jesus himself gives us a job to do. And Jesus' job for us is to be his agents here on the planet. He says that if you put his teaching into practice, it'll be like you build your life on solid foundations. So all of us who are followers of Jesus are called to keep our eyes on Jesus and put his teachings into practice, to copy his way of life. In fact, he said he is the way, and by that he meant the way of doing life. He also is the truth and the life. So at the core of the call of a Christian is the call to no longer try and organize life around our own needs, but rather organize our life around following Jesus and to be agents of his grace and truth in the world. The people around us should see his love coming through us to them. That is the call of Christians, on the basis of his saving grace, to bring his grace into the world. And the final one might be a surprise to those of you who believe it's all about getting to heaven when you die. The news at the heart of Christianity isn't so much about going to heaven when you die. It's that heaven is coming to earth. Yep, there's going to be a renewed heavens and a renewed earth, and the old things are going to pass away. And Jesus says there's going to be no more tears. There's a future we look forward to that is a physical reality where the heavenly reality and the earthly reality come together in a whole new way of life that is just free. We see this in the book of Revelation, and we see it pointed to throughout the New Testament. In fact, Paul says, if anyone's in Christ, the new creation has come. There's this sense that there is a foretaste of the new creation as we step out into life with Jesus now, but this new creation is coming in its fullness, and that is the future we look forward to. We don't know when it's going to be here, but we know this is where we're going. And so there is always hope for those who are followers of Jesus. So these are the 8 truths of Christianity. Sometimes we have to admit that we Christians lose sight of one or more of these truths, and our lives get taken off track. As followers of Jesus, we need to hold on to all these 8 truths tightly because they all matter, and they are all a foundation of the life of a faithful follower of Jesus. I hope you found the video helpful. By the way, if you could like this video and subscribe to our channel so you stay in touch with videos in the future, that'd be wonderful. Thanks.